and others. Welcome to After Dark, where Adam and I incessantly talk about and name things from the org. Today, Adam has his. It's a Sabbat Ankh. I assure you, it's a Sabbat Ankh, not a gigantic middle finger.
Nor
Today.
am I in hell.
Stop! Put it away! It's so scary. It does look like you're in purgatory for Obi-Wan crimes. Hell, in like a circle. Today, speaking of purgatory and hell and Obi-Wan, today we're going to be talking about PvP, specifically defining it and exploring the ideas of how PvP ideally should work in the org, based on two Chucklefuck's opinion. So, salt, make your own, etc.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's start. Yeah,
I
sorry,
was
go
gonna
on.
say, as discussed by old guy and young pup, the PvP nature of one rule. Maybe that's what I'll call this episode.
Real weird about being called young pup, my man.
I'm old. I'm weird about being called old.
You know what? I'll take that. Just to start us off, let's define what we mean by PvP, because there are certain new definitions, specifically like CVC, which is a different term that sort of popped up in the org. I believe Brad Klinger has a lot of opinions on that. That will go unmentioned. I'm sure you can find it in the dark world that known as Facebook.
I don't know. You couldn't.
I couldn't. This is true. This was necessary research for this episode, and I couldn't find it. I'm so devastated. One day I'll find it. But to clarify what PvP is, do you want to take it away, Adam? Just to clarify what we're talking about here.
Sure. The literal definition of PvP is player versus player. Now, what that means to people has different meanings depending on the person and sometimes the region, right? So in the Northeast, we like the term PvP. People in Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, depending on who you ask, like CVC, and I don't know about the rest of the org, to be honest with you. CVC means character versus character, player versus player, right? So what does that like ultimately mean? So if you ask people what that means, you're probably going to get different answers. Like for example, if you ask me what PvP means, and when I use the term PvP, I'm specifically only ever using it to mean when a player's character kills another player's character. That's the only context I use it on. Everything else is like character drama or character conflict, and that's not the same thing to me. Now, for some people, if you say PvP, they're going to say any conflict between characters, be that roleplay, status, doesn't matter, that can classify as PvP. For the purposes, I think, of this episode, we're going to lean more towards my definition of PvP, which is a character killing another character.
Yeah, character conflict, or the wider terms of PvP definition, still have merit to be spoken about, but getting into nitty gritty of PvP is very vital to being in the org, which is why we wanted to expand on that version of the definition here. I know Adam and I specifically talked about the next subject in here, about now that we've defined it, and it's what the quote, "It's what my character would do," which sent Adam in a frothing rage. This is typically when you jump into a scene with another person where you are going to end up killing them. It's a regular term that's used, and I'm not going to deny. I think Adam and I differ on this when I say that I'm not going to deny there's merit in the term. Like, sometimes it is what your character would do. But also, and I'll let Adam take it away from here.
I hate the term, "it's what my character would do." I despise that sentence. The reason why is because, like, what is the ultimate goal of playing these games? What's the purpose? Break it down to its basic levels. Hey, what is the purpose of playing these games? What's the goal?
Have fun.
Right.
Just to have fun.
Right. It's not
yippee wahoo time.
Right. It's not real. These characters don't exist. They're fictional characters. They do what you, the person, decide they do. So too many times that excuse of what my character would do is an excuse to be a dick. It is an excuse that is often used to assert your authority and dominance over another person. It's about putting your fun over someone else's fun. And I think as I tend to lean more towards collaborative and community experiences, it should be about our fun, not my fun, not just A's fun. What is everyone's fun? And saying it's what my character would do is an easy, dismissive mental gymnastic to justify doing a shitty thing. Is that 100% true all the time? No, nothing ever is. But I would say the majority of times that I've heard it in my experience, it is used by a person to just casually kind of justify being a dick to someone else. Maybe I'm wrong,
I
but that's been my experience over like 20 years.
I do want to say if your character is a total asshole cunt and you were acting in the way that you've made your character, that's fine. Playing an asshole cunt is like, yeah, obviously they're going to be a shit heel, but positive metagaming is a thing. Maybe don't be a total asshole to like the newer player who's just jumped in. Like maybe don't engage in PvP with a newer player who's still trying to figure out the genre because it's what your character would do. In those situations, positive metagaming, and we've talked about it before previously, is for the betterment of not just the org, but everyone involved's experience. Neglecting paying attention to those specific tenets is going to rot the org and your enjoyment and their enjoyment and everyone's enjoyment of the game. Whoa, that's crazy.
I would
Enjoyment
also,
in mine one more by
I'm also gonna
night? Oh,
I'm gonna say to your
whoa.
point. Can you play an asshole character? Yes, but out of game acknowledge that you made an asshole character.
Yes, yes. If you look, yes. Oh my god. If you're playing an asshole, and another character goes up to your character and is like, "Hey, you're a fucking dickhead," and then out of character, you're like, "I can't believe you hurt me like this. Get help. Get help. Get so much help. Get so much help. It's gonna be so toxic. It's gonna be so bad. It's not an OWBN specific thing, right? It's like I've seen it in other games as well, other communities.
You can see it in tabletop.
Yeah. Know the signs. Listen to your friends. They care about you. They want to have fun. And if you're an asshole both in and out of character, maybe don't be, bro. Do some self-searching.
Which is
Take
which
some
is
weed. Take some
which is
edibles. Get drunk.
I mean, drunk can also lead to like violent people. That's not necessarily good advice.
After Dark does not endorse alcoholism and/or addiction.
Not if we want to get sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. What are you doing?
No, we're not fucking. No, fuck off.
That's also kind of back to my point. You are a human being. You make all of the choices for this fictional character that you have made. The fictional character does not. Oh, you don't get what that's from, do you? That's
No.
that's from Chasing Amy when he has a rant about these characters are fictional characters.
You've told me about Chasing Amy once before. It's like a movie from the whatever. Keep going.
Wow, you haven't watched it yet? I'm upset.
I am busy propping things.
We should do a watch party night and see if we can get any of our like viewers in the show to like join us in the chat while we watch. I make you watch.
That would be haunting. Chasing Amy with the lesbian. Yeah, totally.
Oh, it would be haunting. Is it as haunting as this?
No. You have found out this information before we filmed, and you've immediately started using it for evil and horror. I know it's October. It's
my
terrible.
favorite holiday.
Absolutely terrible. But to get back on topic, speaking of choices they were making, I want to clarify that there is such thing as PvP etiquette. Where it comes to players and STs, which is what I have broken it down into. Of course, Adam has more experience as to some of the finer details. This is based on hearsay. I am lucky, unlucky. No one's cared enough to jump my characters in an alley yet. We will get there soon, one day. And on that day, they will owe me a drink, which is part of the mostly standard kindness that's when players are rolled, which is the term when you have a group of people come up and roll a character, which is a standard PvP and for event games, which we'll actually get into later. Either buying a drink, either buying them a meal, offering character ties, especially if the character was an RNU, such as like a gargoyle or like a harbinger of skulls, something that took time and effort to get approved and time to put in. Shaking hands, and of course, being as transparent as possible. Like, engaging in PvP means you're going to be sitting there going through mechanics for, at minimum, probably an hour. If it's a smaller sheet, which I hope it's not, it's usually going to be very quick. If it's a bigger sheet, it's going to take a long fucking time. So be transparent. Be transparent with the person that you're fucking killing in cold blood, and also be transparent with the ST, who has dedicated their time, specifically their time, to pay attention to you. Now, a lot of these things you'll notice are based on being live. Like, you can't buy a drink. You can
Your mail.
rolling someone through Discord and then Uber eating them a fucking drink is crazy.
Wow.
That shit's wild. I mean, you could do that. I'd promote doing that. It wouldn't make it better, but it'd be funny, which is a little worth it. I know there used to be someone who would give like a tub of ice cream after rolling your character. I don't remember who, but very, very generous. But also, when it comes to STs, be patient with them, be transparent with them, have your declarations, which for younger people who don't know what declarations are, those are things that you've buffed your character with, things that you plan on bringing into the actual fight itself, context and preparation going in, that you're being transparent about with your ST. I also know that certain, just sort of tied to event games, which I'll slide into later, certain STs have sheets for you to fill out in advance. Fill those out if you're doing them. I know I'm not a big sheets guy for PvP stuff, because I think it's a little bureaucratic. But like, it's not your house. Every new game that you enter is not your house. It's someone else's house. You're politely putting your shoes at the door. Doing declarations is the equivalent of like texting your friend that you're going to be there at their house instead of showing up and being like, hey, let me in.
That's actually a really good analogy, because like the whole argument I was going to make when you were done was like, recognize a couple of things, right? That like it's another person that you're dealing with, and how would you feel if it was done to you? Talk to them. Don't just be like quiet during the whole combat. Have empathy for what they're doing, because regardless of the fact that it's a game, people have feelings about those things. But that's a good analogy, because it's like, it's a dick move to text a breakup to someone. Don't do that. Don't do the equivalent of that when rolling another character. Is don't text break up with them, like, because you're trying to avoid the awkwardness of how it's going to go. And I think the best advice when the etiquette is put yourself as much as you can in their shoes. How would you want to be treated if it was happening to you? How would you feel if this was being done? You could recognize the key factor is you're making a choice. The person behind the character is making a choice to end the story of somebody else's, regardless of what state they're in their story. You've decided they're done, and like there needs to be a certain gravitas and respect applied to that I don't think often is. I'm just gonna be honest.
No, and I think here's the thing: PvP as an idea in the org is a inherently polarizing thing, right? Because back in the 2000s, PvP was very common, like really common, at least
game.
Based on what people have told me. I wasn't
exactly
around during that time.
It was the game. That was I am the survivor of many a LARP war. Like, that's what the game was.
There's stories I've heard about, like, technically there was a game where you could transfer influences, so people would find newer players, like bully them into transferring their influences and then fucking killing them.
Yeah,
of course, we've vastly evolved from that time. Hopefully, we have. I want to be very blatant. We definitely have. But on that point, because of the nature around PvP, a lot of people will loudly argue with you about it. And I can't super blame people. there are some people who have gone through and done PvP in a horrifically less than etiquette way, from non-informing STs to encouraging STs to make bad calls to targeting players who don't actually have reason to be targeted besides it's what my character would do. There are a lot of ways that PvP has gone wrong and can go wrong. And it's sending out negotiations, communicating with people involved, and making sure that you are prepared that makes it a smooth process as humanly possible. Speaking of negotiations, I know you had a little bit to say about it, especially with getting players on the same page, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So here's one of the key things I think that over the couple of years, to your point, that One World's starting to realize, and even for me, it was like an epiphany, right? Because when I started in One World, that was my first introduction to Vampire the Masquerade. It wasn't tabletop, it was LARP.
Oh,
And yeah,
that's
I was in high school and there was a bunch of people doing this thing, and I lived in a small
high
town,
school.
and it was like a thing to
Jesus.
do. And so the
High
game
school.
was just like 100 players go at each other. So the survival of the fittest, like
King of the
it was like
Hill.
the reality show Survivor, if you even know what that is.
I do.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was that, right? Um, and that was the game. And so it's kind of coming to the realization that Vampire the Masquerade, World of Darkness in general, because it doesn't just apply to Vampire. What's the name of the system, A, for the World of Darkness? What do they call
The system?
it? The system has a name. The design system
I,
for World of Darkness.
I
You don't know?
don't know.
A lot of
No.
people don't. It's the storytelling system. And
Oh, motherfucker, yeah.
they chose that name very specifically though, right? So it's everything. If you look at the golden rule in White Wolf, the golden rule is if you, it's printed in all their books, it's hey, this system is designed to focus on story first. If you come into a situation where a rule conflicts with what's better for the story wins over the rule. That's what it's supposed
It's
to
one
do.
of my favorite blurbs because it's blatantly true, right? And I like this style of play that we do in One World by Night for Vampire the Masquerade is not the norm everywhere. There's a wonderful V5 LARP game out in Texas that I used to go to. Shout out to all of them. Also, Darkness Emergent. Shout out to Darkness Emergent. They're having an event in Atlanta a little bit soon. I recommend looking into it. Like, you don't
I
need to be
know
an
it
Obi-Wan
conflicts as the
purist.
same date as my event, Jimmy.
We love
And
you, Jimmy.
if you can go, go. They're great
Baby.
guys.
They're great. But a lot of their systems are negotiation based. So if you're fighting with someone else, you can leave it down to the dice. Or you can have a conversation about it and decide how this is going to go. Go through a negotiation, figure out how it's going to end, and then throw it the fuck down and roleplay in front of a shit ton of people what your conflict looks like. Which I really like that system. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really like that system. Because how we do combat in the org is so
90s?
numbers based. It's
Yeah, 90s.
so crunchy, and it's so 90s, bro. And
Oh,
sometimes we don't even have narration afterward, which is a shame because I think the narration is like the
oh
heart
man.
of it all.
I so agree, like trying to encourage people to be as descriptive as possible in the combat, but that's a topic for another time. But you nailed it on the
Another
head, right?
episode.
Yeah, right. Negotiation, what does that mean? Again, this goes back to my earlier point of we're human beings, and I don't think conversations out of game are ever bad, right? So I was talking to A earlier, and I was like, as an example, it's like if I'm A and I are playing game, and I start beefing with A because maybe I misinterpreted something they said, or they're
Yeah, and I
beefing with
hate you, and
me.
you're fucked up and evil because you
Yeah, you're
fucked up
fucked
three
up and
plots.
evil, right? And so there's I'm fucked up and evil.
No, stop! No, put it away.
But
Jesus.
there's conflict. There's conflict that occurs between two characters for whatever reason from the in-game character. When the game is over, you should have a conversation with that person just to see if you're on the same page, right? So I could be like, hey, hey, did you mean to start like being a dick to me because this is how I took what you said? And A could be like, no, No, wait, what? How did you take it that way? No, no, I'm not interested in looking in conflict. And then like, oh, okay, I can adjust my RP based on that. Or if they're like, yeah, I'm actually looking for conflict. Are you? And if you're like, no, I'm not actually. It's just not something I'm interested in. Then A could be like, okay, well, what middle ground, what compromise can we have here? Because I'm interested in that, but you're not. There's got to be a middle ground. That sort of
And
stuff.
the same thing can go for PvP, right? Because especially with like younger players, if you were a newer player, grace should be given for your fuck ups. You're still finding your ground. And what your interpretation of what a newer player is really up to the ST and the locals. But like, if I'm a newer player and I break Elysium because I don't know what Elysium is, and it just kind of happens, a PvP scene in which the keeper beats me to death isn't great for anyone involved. It just kind of sucks. So that negotiation stage being like, hey, I want to make it clear this is something that your character's fucked up and deeply, and we want to have a conversation about how your character can be punished for it, because it's still in genre for that to happen, but also to have a reasonable lesson for it. Those conversations are deeply important, because PvP is as infamous as it is sacred, in the way that, like, character death from you beating the shit at each other is a big deal. There's a difference between like STs beating the shit out of your character and like your character being straight up murdered by someone else. Have a conversation about it. If there's no conversation to be had, then there's no conversation to be had. Sometimes these negotiations end and, well, there isn't really a better way to go about this, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate, but still possible. Um, from there, I'm actually going to jump one of our topics to talking about mourning character death. We talked a little bit about bleed in a previous episode, but because PvP and character death are obviously intrinsically entwined, it's going to flow into each other regardless. If your character dies from PvP, I recommend you taking a break from the genre. It doesn't need to be forever. Um, Especially if you have other characters that you want to like jump back into, but like take a breather, go for a walk. It's very human nature to hate the person that killed you. And there's good reason for it. If there's a reason, like they didn't do etiquette well, they insulted you out of character, they didn't go for any negotiations, or in lieu of negotiations actively insulted you, there are definite reasons to be mad. But your inherent connection to your character is human. There's nothing wrong with that. And getting angry that they've been killed is also a natural human thing. You've spent time and effort into a character, and now the character is dead. You're going to feel like shit about it. Take a breather. If not from the genre, then at least a little bit from LARP, like a few days, if you really want to be minimum. Your thoughts, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit in a previous video, which about mourning a character, right? Because that's choosing that you have expectations of stories that in your head that you want to tell, role play you want to have, and then it's suddenly ended, just done. You don't get those anymore. Those opportunities are gone. It is crushing for people that spend a lot of time, money, and energy on their characters. Like again, imagine any other scenario in life where you invest that much of yourself into something, right? Like, imagine you're an artist that paints and you go to an art gallery and it's your first show and you're so excited you spent months on it and you show up and someone tore down your paintings and lit them on fire. How how you gonna feel about that? Like,
It's gonna feel like ass.
right, you're gonna be real upset. So you probably should take some time with anything that's a traumatic event, regardless of how menial it may seem versus how big it may seem, to process those motions and feelings rather than bottling them up. And it process them however works best for you. Everyone's got different methods. You know, some people meditate, some people paint, some people write, you know, whatever it is, but bottling it and just trying to tough it out and blow past it and be like, no, I'll play again. You're not. It's going to go bad. You're going to be upset.
It
It's not going to be great.
breeds cynicism.
Yeah.
Blatant cynicism. Cynicism is a way of coping. I'm not going to deny that. But also, bottling up your anger about how those PCs have died is going to hurt everyone involved, including yourself and including your loved ones. It's very simple. And to smoothly move into another subject as well, the nature of PvP and death varies very deeply from different areas and where you start play, right? So Adam's from Boston. I am from Florida, specifically
Whoa,
Tampa.
whoa.
I don't know where you started gaming, but you did start around
That's not
Connecticut.
Boston.
Okay. Maybe my geography is a little bad.
Also, it's insulting because when you live in Connecticut, you have to pick between Boston or New York. I picked New York, quite obviously. So therefore, I hate Boston.
Right, of course. Sorry, I didn't mean to Yankee your yank.
No. How dare you?
You're abusing your newfound power. So Sabat of you, going back to your old way.
Yes.
So fucked up. But like, so to name some examples based on what I have seen, obviously actual people with actual experiences will differ. Florida, specifically around Tampa, Florida, is very comfortable with PvP. In fact, it's very normalized to the point where PvP is something people prepare for. We have rules for it. STs are prepared for it. Well, somewhere in like St. Augustine, which is very close to Florida, doesn't do a lot of PvP. In fact, it's so rare that it probably hasn't been run in a significantly long time. The Midwest, the Ohio games, such as Cleveland, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio, are most known for their PvP. Like during the 2010s, it was really intensive, and some of that culture still obviously lingers today. We have California, which doesn't have a lot of PvP. In fact, it's very limited, and the Mid-Atlantic, which can flip-flop back and forth, but mostly has not a lot of PvP. There are, of course, more examples. I'm not getting into what Ann Arbor or Georgia or any various other places are doing. And I can also speak on behalf of Boston. What?
Northeast.
Sorry.
It's not
on behalf of
Boston.
Connecticut.
Oh my God.
Connecticut. I was explaining, okay? On behalf of Connecticut, what's Connecticut like PvP wise?
All right. So Connecticut is the veteran of many a LARP war. We like to say that we don't start a lot of fights, right? We just finish them. Like sort of like that's like their motto of like the Northeast. And it's not necessarily a good motto, which is kind of the situation. But I'll use my game as an example. Tony, I used to have the very, very serious mentality of it's what your character would do. If you want to roll another character, we're going to do this and I'm going to referee it. I don't care. Right? Like, come to my game and then you can come kill whoever you want. As long as you can give me a sliver of an in-character reason, sure, sounds good. I'll run it. I went from a 70-player game to a 5-player game with that mentality. That's just straight how that went. So after it, I had to very clearly, in order to like try to dig my game out of a hole, make it abundantly clear that I was like, PvP is not happening in my game. Period. It's not. You need specifically my permission to even consider it before we even move on to that. Now, that being said, there are a couple. I still have that rule to this day. My game is not a PvP game. It's a PvE game. We're here to tell a story together. But there's exceptions to that rule, and Sabat has a very unique benefit that I wish existed in the other genres. PvP is allowed in a very specific instance in Coney, and it's called monomacy. If you challenge another character to monomacy and they accept because they can just say no, you can go to PvP and your characters can fight to the death because it's not removing player agency. If I challenge A's character monomacy and A goes, yes, they have accepted and an out-of-game and in-game level that their character can die for what is about to happen. That is on the table. It's understood. Cam, doesn't have that. And I call these systems conflict resolutions, and it just doesn't really exist in Cam or Anarch. There's
Yeah,
no specific
so
method.
for Anarch, there's nothing. There's not even an argument there. For Cam, the status system is supposed to be in the way of that ultimate PvP, but in practice, that doesn't often actually happen. There's obviously like getting the right to kill them via Cam, but also that
Well,
is
I've got a
less
whole
of a
rant on
character
this.
agency. Oh, okay. I will say that for Guru, this is also something that
Yeah,
happens. A challenge very similar. A challenge means that you were inherently accepting to the death. In fact, a lot of people should clarify more. Hey, buddy, we are fighting to the death. The other person's like, hell yeah, we are, brother. And then you fight to the death.
yeah.
Uh,
I've got a whole rant on your Cam thing. It's great.
go on, go
All right, so
on.
you were so close. You almost had it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the books, the status and social systems for the Camarilla. Why does I'm gonna quiz you. Why do you think that exists in the canon? Like that's the way the cam is.
I believe it's to stave off the beast by distracting it. Like that is the intention behind status, right? It's meant to be a long-term distraction from your beast from actually tearing each other to fucking shreds.
Right. So it's there to exist to protect the masquerade. Because after the Inquisition happened, all the vampires sat down and were like, we're by our nature horribly monstrous, violent creatures. We can't do that anymore because when we did that, the humans found out and started killing all of us. So the social system, the status system, if you look in the Succubus Revised book, tabletop book, it has social combat rules. These are designed to replace the physical combat rules in Camarilla because it fits that theme of the genre. Violence is supposed to be an incredibly kind of rare thing. So if you read the Clan novel series, I recommend the first and the second one, the Toreador and the Tzimisce, because one's from the Cam's perspective and one's from the Spot's perspective of the same event, right? The Crusade of Atlanta. From the Cam perspective, when the Sabbat attack Elysium, they're in shock and kind of stand there and don't know what to do because they've never seen this level of violence from vampires. Because it's all social violence, it's social combat. So the Sabbat just like steamroll through this Elysium, murdering everyone with blood everywhere, and the camera just stuck in a horror, going, "Oh my God, why would you do this?" Like they can't wrap their heads around it. That's why in Cam, there's supposed to be significantly less PvP in the terms that I use it, which is character killing character. That should be a socially like, oh my God, what did you just do moment in Camarilla when playing, versus like, oh yeah, they put Bob out back and rolled him with a boo party in an alley. It's a Tuesday. Like that's not how they're supposed to react. I see the Cam should react in abject horror for anyone that's murdered outside of like destruction's been granted, blood hunts,
I
stuff like that.
So I will note that while this idea is great for by genre, we have 20 years of org history that has unfortunately sort of steamrolled that idea. Like, I like the idea of bringing that back, and I think that it should be resorted to before anything else. But of course, erasing those 20 years of like status, why would I need to use that? I'm just gonna beat the shit out of him in a back alley, which has like started from the Wild West and like gotten like a pendulum went from here and is swinging all the way back here. Because of course you have games who are like killing off PCs that are 6 months old for like violating the traditions, and that's a thing that happens. It's locationally specific, but like that shit still happens, as opposed to someplace like the Mid Atlantic or like California, which might have them go through like the status struggles or like being someone's bitch for the rest of their life, which is also alternative solutions.
Do you know what my dream would be? You know what I would do? Because one,
What's
let the
up?
past die. Learn from it, but don't be hindered by it. Like learn from the
It's
mistakes it makes.
You can't erase it though. It's
Let the past
ingrained
die.
in the culture. A lot of our players are old. We don't have a new enough player base to have that sort of opinion about genre. If
Sure,
we
and then
did, it would be a different
then
story.
we can have the discussion about generational trauma passing it down, but that's like again a separate
We should. That should be another episode. We should make that another episode. I'm
generational
calling it
trauma.
now. I'm putting it on our list. Generational trauma. Hand me down trauma.
You know what I would do to fix
Putting
it?
it.
You'd have to hammer this to fix it. Scalpel's not going to fix it. Hammer's got to fix it. What I would do in an ideal world is if I was the camcord and council let me do it, I would cast from an in-character perspective. The Camarilla stance now is as follows. If you kill another member of the Camarilla outside of a blood hunt or granting of right of destruction, you are immediately ejected from the sect and effectively globally hunted. You will
Ooh.
you would watch PvP drop like a hammer. Just nope, it's going to be very specific now. Like if you don't do it this way, you're in trouble. Because I'll give you
No.
an example. In
We would
Sabbat,
get a lot more independence.
I don't think you would. I don't think you would. I think it would work fine because if we look at Sabbat as an example, there's not and almost has never been a crap ton of PvP compared to Cam because Monomacy exists. And if you kill someone outside of Monomacy, you get ejected from the sect, hunted down, and killed. That's how that works. Now, there is a way you could also institute in Cam because this is all conflict resolution stuff, right? That's really what we're
Right.
talking about. Vampire the Victorian Ages, again, for the Camarilla, has a great system in it called dueling. And we should bring back dueling for Camarilla.
Shout out to the people, and I know I shout out the main characters, Dolly, don't worry about it. Shout out to the people in the Midnight Rose, who are making a faction bringing dueling back.
Yeah,
I
dueling
love
society.
that for y'all. I think it's a fantastic thing. I'm sorry I shat on it as a Fury. Please actually do it. Genuinely actually do it. It's a really good idea, I promise. I love you.
And to be clear for anyone that's watching, a duel does not have to be a physically violent thing like a sword duel or pistol duel. It certainly can be, but a debate can be a duel. A chess match can be a duel. Like, it's a contest of skill and will. So, like, if you're...
You are staking your honor upon it. It is your lifeblood and your sires and their lifeblood, their bloodline, etc., etc.
I'm very big on that Camarilla One World should lean heavily far more into the feudalism aspects and the Victorian Age aspects. I think it just works better. Wouldn't you all just rather kind of be playing Game of Thrones anyways? Like, let's just...
Yeah, but like at that point, you're just kind of playing Changeling, but like everyone's a little more evil.
No, I don't have to deal with chipmunk pukas. Oh, Prince Gangrel exists. That's fine to do.
I'm gonna slide right past this to circle back to a previous thing we talked about, which is event game PvP. Now, there is a lot of precedent here that is going to go unsaid because I did not exist in the org in the 2000s and / or the 2010s. Adam might be able to elaborate on it, but that specific culture is specific. So we're gonna go over some of the big events and about the precedent of event game PvP, specifically concerning games like Blood and Ice, Glitter and Gloom, and there's another one here that I'm completely forgetting because I've drank too much.
There's Nonclave, there's Kubicon.
Nonclave.
Used to be Origins. I don't know if Origins still runs. If that's like, I think it is. I don't know.
I think it does. I'm not entirely sure.
And there's like the Northeast event too, but I would say it's less famous than the other ones.
Yeah, I think Blood and Ice is the main one we're going to talk about here. Blood and Ice is infamous for having character PC deaths happen on a consistent basis. And role parties, which we defined a little bit earlier, is also that's something that frequently happens there. It's not specific to Blood and Ice. Don't be afraid to go to Blood and Ice. It's a fun event. Have fun. But also, like, it is something that is acknowledged by both culturally and occurs almost every year.
Yeah. So, I mean, that goes back to, if you want to go into the history, back before Blood and Ice was known as Blood and Ice, it was known as Midwinter. It still was like the biggest event in the org. Everyone went together, got drink, had fun. But the origins of this really rely on the fact that back in the day, you had your local game, and then you had email lists where you could like talk shit. You couldn't engage in
So much shit.
You
Oh my
couldn't,
god, so much
yeah,
shit.
you could talk as much shit as you wanted, but you couldn't engage in combat over email. Like the online combat thing that didn't exist. You wanted to roll someone, you had to go to their game, right? So event games became the killing fields because it's a mass amount of players all congregating at one place one time a year. So your odds of getting that guy that shit talked you 6 months ago on an email list, he's going to be at that event. So that's when you just go and roll them. So
Yeah,
that's
you
why I
either
say,
drove to their fucking game 6 hours away, or you went to the event game that 200 plus other players were all going to.
right, right. And so that's like why that reputation exists of like event game PvP. Now, I'll say this, there are plenty of event games that's not the case. There's just like no PvP whatsoever. Like I've been to Glitter and Glue once, there wasn't really any PvP, wasn't a thing. Um,
Glitter and Gloom
whenever you,
instituted a form now, and I think that's a bit of a deterrent to some people who are usually doing
it's
their
been there
standard
for a
methods of
while.
PvP.
Yeah, yeah, and that just manages expectations, which I do think is a good thing. Which is also goes back to be clear about what your game is. We talked about earlier about like being upfront about what your game's themes, moods are, but like what type of game are you running is very important to make it as blunt as possible for people coming in. That like, if you come into Coney, I'm going to let you know. You can go right on my wiki and go, this is not a place for you to just roll characters. I'm not interested in running it. I'm here to tell stories, or you want to tell a story with me. That's what I'm here to do. But like through, it was a weird time period because I can tell you kind of when the shift happened is that so event games were just known as the killing fields. That's just what you did, and not like a lot was run or anything. And that shift happened in 2010 with the first Grand Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
Jen Bar, and this is the year before the Year of Fire. So Jen Bars was
Oh,
the H.
Jesus.
Yeah, she was the HC of One World, and she gets approached by Shane from White Wolf, going, "Hey, we're gonna throw this huge event. We would like One World to be a part. The CFC is gonna be part of it. I know you guys hate each other." And then, like Exact was like, "We also hate White Wolf because you guys were dicks to us." And Shane was like, we know. Like we're trying to fix everything. And what is it going to take to get One World to come? And I always give credit to Shane for this. He's the only person that had the ability to bring all of the clubs together. Think what you want about Shane, but he did do that. He brought us all together for one event because we were like, okay, we want this, this, and this. And every single demand, he was like, yeah, done. And then we kept being like, and this? He's like, sure, you have that. And we were like, how about this? And he was like, yep, you got it. And I was like, you really want us there? Okay, cool. So that happened at Midwinter. Jen gets approached by Shane for the Grand Masquerade. And I was Sabak Horde, and I was really good friends with Jen. And so she messages me, and she's like, hey, apparently we have an event to run in New Orleans. I'm not a storyteller. I'm an exec Horde. What do? And I was like, I got you. Have you ever read the Clan novel series? And she was like, no. Why would I read that? And I was like, oh, damn it. Okay, well, great. That's going to be the response from most people on World. I'm just going to run it in a weekend. I'm just going to run the whole fucking plot. And so I type it up, and she's like, cool, you're the head storyteller. Go run all of that stuff. And I was like, okay,
Haha!
sure.
Point laugh! Volunteered yourself! Clown.
So I run it.
That's you.
There's a crap ton of One World players. There's a crap ton of CF. It's a huge fucking event. It's the biggest one I've ever been to. And so I have to run this, and you could tell when I'm running it, and I've got like my friends helping me that are storytellers that like read the Clan novels and understand what I'm trying to do to like present this for the first time that in an event can run like just plot, like we're telling a story for this concise event. And a lot of players have really had a lot of fun with it, which was led to us working on the Year of Fire the next year because they were like, "We're going to do Grand Masquerade next year." And Jen's like, "What you got?" And I was like, I don't. Give me a minute." And then like I worked with Brad and we did the Year of
You
Fire.
go off in the corner and you're like, guys, what the fuck are we doing?
Right, right. Because I don't ever write in a vacuum. I write with writing partners. Though to be
Yeah.
fair, 80% of the Year of Fire was written by Brad. 100% of the hate that was for it went to Adam. He laughs about it to this day. He's like, yo, I didn't get any shit for that. I wrote it. And I'm like, I know.
This is your invitation. You should go bully Brad. We here at After Dark do not support bullying or
Like,
harassment of any
if you
kind.
hate the Treaty of Fire, stop blaming me. I just was the guy that ran the thing that got passed.
Go beat Brad to death and then hit up Adam's door to beat him to death for a completely unrelated reason.
In fact, you can come beat up Brad at Grand Synod, the event that's happening in a couple of weeks that I'll be
You
running.
motherfucker! I can't
Yeah,
believe
it's a huge Sabbat event. It's gonna be great. We're doing the Trial of Maria.
Shameless plug.
I highly recommend it. Get tickets now. They're on sale.
There's one more thing I wanted to talk about concerning PvP, and it is PvP baked into genres. Specifically concerning like Black Hand, Inquisition on Spot side, Archons on Archons and Scourges, and even sometimes Princes on the Camarilla side. Judges of Doom for the Shadow Lords. There are other Guru examples, and dealing with that in the org. Because how do you deal with both the opinions on PvP about all of the things we talk about today, negotiations and dealing with things, and the groups that are made to kill people? They're hit teams that like roll into games and beat the shit out of people, usually for very good reasons. Most of the time, very good reasons. We're gonna ignore the asterisk for now, for the sake of my sanity, because if we get into the asterisk now, I will lose it and die.
Fine.
Adam.
Well, I'm a core. Do you want me to go into my sides of things?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So you call them PvP-centric groups, and I would say they were primarily. I will say, do you know what have I ever told you the Polonia rule?
No.
Okay.
Elaborate it for the sake of the viewers.
I am gonna. Yeah. So for like the 15 years I've run County, I have had what's called the Polonia rule, which is if your character walks up to Cardinal Polonia, who in the canon is notoriously known for being embraced with a sunburn, and he's very, very upset about this fact, and will
He's
rage.
So touchy about it.
If you mention it, will rage and kill you. That's like in his character. So the Polonia rules: if you play a character and you walk up to Cardinal Polonia and go, "Hey man, nice sunburn," we don't throw chops. I explain to you and describe how Cardinal Polonia has ripped your head off and you have died. It is an example of you have done something so obviously stupid, you should know your character is going to die for it. Why I use that and bring that point up is for me, when it comes to Inquisition and Black Hand, if I am the court sending them to go kill PCs, you have done it because you have done Polonia rule somewhere, and it has come to my desk that you have done Polonia rule. Something so obviously you die for that I have to send these characters to go kill you. Right? So a good example is you go on the Sabbat list and you go, hey guys, I got my Op 10, my vicissitude, and my Valorant. I don't actually give a shit about this sect. I just joined the Camarilla. Fuck off. You don't get to be surprised when the Black Hand Kamut shows up and knocks on your Haven door and kills you during the day. Like, that's, to me, I don't know. To me, that seems obvious. Like, it's not like you fucked up etiquette.
Obvious. Right? It's not like this is the conversation where I'm like, hey dog, there's not going to be negotiations here. Like, negotiations are great if your characters are having a feud. If you start pissing on the prince's house and you publicly brag about it and you say that you're going to kill the prince and that you're going to declare praxis, you should not be shocked when the scourge shows up to your door and beats you to death, because that's what happens when you do that, because you're a fucking idiot. Like, or like going up to someone and being like, hey dog, as a guru, I broke 7 tenets of the litany, check out this proof. And then the guru are like, huh? And then they beat the shit out of you. You cannot be shocked when they beat the shit out of you when you say shit like that. Or if you violate the same tenet like 6 times and you're like, why are they beating the shit out of me? I don't know, dog. Maybe because you violated that tenet 6 times. I don't know.
Or you show up to the Sept and you're like, hey guys, I know I'm like ranking Sept Alpha, but this is my wife, a black spiral dancer. Don't like be surprised when the Sept jumps you. Like
yeah, I guess the common sense rule when it comes to PvP is also very evident. Like, hey dog, if your character has done something stupid, they are going to be punished for something stupid. I think the Polonia law is a good way to put it. It's very obvious. If you're going to insult the fucking, what gen is he?
In one world or in canon.
Oh God, I'm not even sure if I want to know
PC's
this
fed him
answer.
bodies in one world, so he's diablerized quite a bit.
If you want to insult the Polonia with the fuck off sunburn who likes killing people for the sunburn and then insult him for the sunburn, guess what's gonna happen, bro? Guess what? Oh my God, you're gonna die.
It goes back to the age-old logic of like, if you go, I'm gonna stick my head in that fire, and your friend goes, dude, you're gonna burn your face, and you do it anyways, you don't get to say, I didn't know! Like, my face is now in third-degree burns. Like, come on. There's a certain point where it's too obvious, which gets kind of back to the point of PvP. There are a time and a place where PvP should happen. I just think, in my experience, it should be the minority, not the majority, right? Like, I didn't say hello to the prince when he walked in should not result in character death because what you're talking about is right. It's mistakes and punishments, and there's degrees of punishment, and character death should be at the last resort. You have tried everything else, or they've fucked up so epically that the entire org is talking about it on a national list. Then you're gonna get what you deserve, right? And that's in many ways it's true to life too, right? Like you're gonna get what you do. Like it's gonna come around to you.
And branching from this subject as well, there's PvP is, as I said before, a very polarizing subject. And as you said, there are places for it. There are people who have learned it for years that have built their character sheets specifically for it. There are games who are most well known for having piles and piles of body. But finding the balance between what are your crimes and what the punishment is and how common PvP is inherently going to be up to the culture. If you are a newer player and you're concerned about PvP and getting your character fucking stomped because people talk about it, it's like a very common thing that people will have conversations about. Consult your SDs, consult your local players. It's a reasonable fear to have if your character is fucking around and you are finding out. But if you are constantly in fear of PvP being happen, you're not having fun, and there isn't a point to this shit if you're not having fun.
That's a
Use
great place
common
to
sense.
end
You
it.
stick your hand in the fire, expect to get burned. But if you are like 20 inches away from the stove, you probably shouldn't be concerned about your house burning down unless you've turned on the stove.
See, no, you should just end it on if you're not having fun, then why are you doing this? That was like,
Also, that if you are not having fun, hit the bricks, bro.
oh,
Hit the
as you like to
bricks.
say all the time, you can leave.
You can leave. I cannot state this enough. The door is there. You can unlock it. This is a simulacrum of ideas that you were exploring at the freedom of your heart and your mind and your creativity or whatever that is. ChatGPT stole that like years ago. But
Fictional characters.
you can go. It's okay. No one's gonna judge you for it. Well, some might, but who gives a shit? You've already left at this point. Like,
Yep. Do we have any other
uh,
points on PvP, or is that kind of it?
that's kind of it. Well, thank you
Cool.
so much for joining us today for a discussion on PvP. We still welcome comments and suggestions as we're still planning episodes ahead, as Adam still stays in his hell dimension, perpetually stuck, doing org emails as the new Sabat Corps. I'm not gonna get over it. It's so weirdly
Happy
Hellraiser.
Halloween.
The face isn't helping. Happy Halloween, everyone. Happy
Uh,
October and happy Paula.
I'm gonna do the thing where you please hit the like, subscribe, bells icon so make sure you get those notifications. Also,
Uh,
let us know in the comments if you
uh,
want to watch me make watch movies that help form me as a person, and then you can be live in a chat. If that's something you're interested in, let us know. Which does include me making watch things like pro wrestling, as we
no,
asked.
I'm not fucking watching. No,
You
you
see,
put
you
on
asked
a different
earlier
shirt.
for
He was wearing a different shirt before this recording started, and then said, "I gotta keep up the bit. I'm gonna put on another shirt." And then he left, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he comes back with a pro wrestling shirt. I thought that was just a normal black shirt. You
I know,
motherfucker!
but I can
I will
explain it by
not
showing
be
you who
weasel.
the best in the world is.
I will not be weaseled into watching fucking pro wrestling, okay? I will not be tricked. I will not be deceived. I will not be confoodled into watching pro wrestling.
Hold on,
Thank you for watching.
Yes, you will, eh?
No! Thank you for watching. End of episode. Fuck off.
Goodbye. Happy Halloween.